Okay, we are back for another episode of Beyond Barriers. Beyond Barriers is a conversation with leaders and community evangelists about the challenges of navigating an effective accessibility strategy. In these episodes, guests get to share their journey of successes and setbacks with a primary focus on how they've overcome issues that otherwise could have ended the journey or would have put a major fork in the road. My name is Brian Gavin. I'm the co-founder of Wally. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Michał Madejsk. Michał, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Well, we're catching up in kind of two different time zones. I know you're across the pond, if you will. So thank you so much for making time in the day. Let's dive right into things. I always like to start every podcast by getting to know the guest a little bit about your journey as a developer, but also your journey in the accessibility space as well.
Some insights from my first project because, to be honest, I start from a perspective where I didn't really understood why is that necessary. Because, by the way, I heard a lot of your guests before, which are master in these topics, and that is really amazing. What are they doing for this area? But I had a perspective that maybe, let's say, don't think if ain't broken, and there are a lot of valuable content about specific details of accessibility, how to put this into your project. But as far I haven't noticed so much, let's say, general speaking about why is it worth. And maybe my story will have some impact on understanding this general perspective. So I was doing some small tool for a company to ERM tool to record data about time spent over project and so on. And we had around 50-60 people on board. And that was not really understandable for me why to do such an amount of extensive work to make it accessible. But in following projects, I had WCAG courses, trainings, and this actually opened my eyes because speaking about opening eyes, in terms of accessibility is rather than about speaking of closing your eyes, because that's true that not so many people are having disabilities, but it's completely not the case. If we think about our society as about developed one, that's not the case of doing so much for everybody, but doing also so much for that small percentage of people. And yeah, I tried to close my eyes and navigate through any kind of web pages. And that's when I understood it is important to give a lot of extra work. But actually, maybe I said a lot of too quickly, because from a lot of further research, I understood that actually don't need to be such tremendous amount of work to put this accessibility into your projects.
So it's interesting. Coming into the workforce, was accessibility something that was exposed in your graduate studies?
No, I mostly base my knowledge in personal projects and commercial projects I had, and courses and trainings I had during this process. Studies is like 1 month of studies is equivalent to 1 week of work, actually, in many cases, if you're a practical person.
Yeah. So you went through the self-study of YCAG, and onboarded yourself as a developer to think about accessibility, right? I think that was a really good reference to, close your eyes and try to navigate the site. And that's the code that, as a front-end developer, users are interacting with, right?
Tell
me a little bit about what was I think I heard you mention that accessibility was like hard, and then maybe as you matured a little bit in the understanding or the implementation of accessibility or accessible code, it became easier.
Yeah, that has origin of the startup character of company I was in the beginning, because when you are in a startup, it's not huge a company, you have limited resources, and you to aim very, very directly on the goals to give the outcome as fast as possible. And sometimes on this level of development you are stepping over some important stuff, but you are just forced to this. So maybe this, let's say, maturity understanding came from participating in other types of projects. But I would say this is mainly because of structure. You need to think couple like a bit in the chess. When you start to make this project, you cannot ignore some stuff, because later redesigning website to make it accessible is sometimes even more easy to this
Start
refers
over.
to start over, exactly. This refers to a lot of like redesign. When your boss see here refactor, he's starting to get red. But sometimes it's even easier to start over, and that's why I mentioned like where the accessibility starts. Actually, when the normal structure of the company is organized like this, that developers have some impact on direction of where the tools are going, but actually the decision makers, the company bosses and the CTO and CEO have the biggest impact, or where we are stepping our development. So for those people, it's important. Why is it worth it? So I wanted to say a couple of words about where we have shared goals with making this accessibility into our websites, because that's another level of me understanding this topic. Because you can think about this as me before, something that is extensive work for you to do, and that impacts it doesn't impact the majority of people using the website, which is really false. It's not true. It's just simply not true. But it's not always so visible at the first insight, because.
Why?
Yeah, I was expecting you.
Why?
Thank you for this question. I like to make this metaphor because I'm passionate about rockets. I'm completely hobbyist and likes in this term, but this is the biggest thing the easiest thing to figure out. Like, for example, a lot of developments came from your amazing space programs. I have goosebumps when I say about this, because it's so amazing in America that you have such development technology, especially in rocket science. And you bring so many ideas from this technology, this area, to everybody's lives. This is one of the easiest things to say out loudly why technology is needed and so on. And how do I connect this with accessibility? Because a lot of stuff that was originally that was made for accessibility have cooperation, have repurposing, and this is so beautiful that while thinking about people which have extra need, you can say that maybe you are thinking about yourself in the future. Like I say, close your eyes, but we are mostly developers, programmers, people in tech. We are looking at our screens all the time. So maybe we are making these adjustments for us in the future, actually. But it's like the side note. The main note is a lot of tools, semantic, HTML, transcripts, responsive design, all the guidelines, navigation, contrast, voice recognition, and so on. A lot of from this stuff originally was made to make those sites accessible. And now we are taking from this to make this interaction, and the interaction is the keyword, with the tech world easier for everybody. And this is amazing because this is like the essence of altruism, maybe not essence, but side effect, but really nice side effect of altruism, that when you think about somebody else, this come back to you in many various valuable ways. So this is one of these technology impacts, reverse impacts on you, on us.
I've heard that statement many times, that the result of thinking about accessibility is better product or user experience for the entirety of the audience that might consume your application, your website, any of the digital content. I was talking with one gentleman, and he had mentioned having a newborn and pushing a baby stroller, right? And the crosswalk and the ramp entry into the sidewalk has never been more important, having to push a stroller for him and his wife because of that. So it's kind of, on the technology side, when you are able to close your eyes and navigate a website, you think about the impact to someone who's navigating the website without their eyes closed. The ability to provide that enhanced interaction and experience is so challenging, or I'm sorry, is so positive, right?
And that's
so
exactly.
go ahead.
For example, it says funny, non-related, somehow related example is if I ask you, how long do you want to live? You'll say 70 years, 80 years. But when you will be 70 years and I ask you, do you want to live tomorrow? You will answer probably yes, despite the answer you provide me before, the couple years before. So that's similar perspective when you are a boss in the company and people ask you, for how many people are we developing this tool, this area? This is small percentage, but okay, now boss, please close your eyes and try to get through this stuff. Even if one side has problem and you are the user who need that side, basically all the other thing is irrelevant that you provided. Yes, sorry.
So let's I want to transition a little bit. The aspect of, you had said, setting organizational goals. I mean, with anything in the company, generally that goal setting process is so important. What type of challenges have you come across implementing and scaling accessibility strategies?
Okay, so I think I was doing one important project for government institutions, and there were a lot of layers of understanding, because it's such a complex product where you need to show that some process is on a specific level of progress. And for this were used a lot of non-semantic icons, a lot of colorful signs that was said, that was explained while you tried to hover over this, but it was complete mess, I would say, because for a person even completely well seeing and without any issues with vision, I couldn't understand this because you had like so long and so extensive learn book to understand this product. And I was pushing business side because always they are responsible for making this decision to make I like to use these words, and I also have some insights in tools I researched that the keyword is context, to provide the context of action you are doing, because even if you are in some part of page and you have information about that the element you are hovering or you are you're navigating with the keyboard, it's not always so obvious what is the context of this element. And your tool, by the way, give great insight in this too. And I was pushing to give a lot of alternative text for basically everything that was necessary to mention. And it was quite hard because as usually the schedule was tight. But I managed to show that this is exactly as we said before, but on the example, on the specific example, that me as a fresh person in this company having issue with understanding this. So how come the people that start using this tool can understand this? Like I'm developer. I'm used to interfaces, but I don't get it. So if I don't get it, please tell me how the user should get it. So I'm always trying to push this user first perspective. And when you say user first, your goals are so in line with accessibility also. Like, I'm not saying first, but this is going together. Those are examples. And maybe I'll try to go smoothly to the other result of my research, quite recent actually, because since I was working with that project, couple things changed on the market. Of course, AI boom and explosion of those LLM supplemented tools. And if we are speaking about implementation of this specific aids, there are so amazing now third-party tools that you can use, so easily implement those in your project that even if your project is too complex to redesign it, or you have any other reasons not to do it, I will leave it for research for everybody who listen it to check it by themselves. But there are so great contextual tools now that not only looks into the selectors, like the code layer of the project, but also they look into the, as I said a couple times before, contextual visual layer. So you can very, very easily be aligned with a lot of regulations, which is first thing, and I hope aligned with your mind, with your beliefs, just with implementing those already existing third-party tools. So and I think, like, this is other insight, and I'm going with the flow so much. Sorry for that, but I think it's the times that we are so strictly connected with visual interfaces is going to an end. Like, not completely, but we have so many chat-based tools now that the conversation we are having now, probably in couple of years, will completely have no response in the reality, because I dream and I know that there are some tools that are developing this area. Our interaction with internet, with web, we develop so crazy that we'll all use accessibility like tools. For example, those related to contextual research.
Well, and I mean, you had said like to align with the maybe your particular belief. I personally believe that building websites and applications under the premise of the regulations and the compliance statutes is probably, for me, less of a priority than building a product that provides great contextual understanding. Because, like you said, the methods of consumption and the visual methods in which we're interacting with digital data is changing so much. And so I think as a front-end developer or a product designer or anyone who's building around the experience of content, be it from the code level, the creative level, you want the consumer to have as best of an experience as possible. There's a big gap in the ability to kind of measure some of that. We've come accustomed to certain metrics around funnel completion, and if you're an e-commerce site, like, hey, am I optimizing the checkout funnel? But I guess the long story short of it is that the contextual understanding and the desire for us to build in this manner is inherent in the DNA of a great developer or a great content creator or of a UX or UI professional. So I think under that aspect is, I want to go all the way back to the beginning, which was finding the tools and the resources, right? I think it was not until a couple years into your journey as a developer that you found these resources. So how do we break down finding the resources, right? Because now, if I'm hearing correctly, you've kind of stated, well, now I can build better experience, I can build better product, I can build more contextual understanding into the code that you create. How do we break down that barrier of getting to that aha moment?
Because there are goals of providing contextual understanding of interfaces, which are actually not in line with providing easy interface to understand by accessibility. Because when you have, for example, when you are going by the car and you see a lot of traffic lights and a lot of signs, all those are for you to have easy understanding and as fast as possible understanding of what's going on without going into the semantics. But providing the semantics give actually, in many cases, unwanted layer of complexity in interfaces. So this is, I don't know if you see where I'm going, but those are actually forging out priorities because it's really challenging to provide something that is really balanced between providing some contextual understanding, which is easy, fast, and without any text, and making at the same time the easiness of going through for those who have bigger needs. And but referring to one thing you said before, doing for regulation, okay, that's not the stating this as a priority is not good, but also the keyword is guidelines, because while developing as mature as developer, you start to understand why guidelines are important to do, because sometimes if you are doing something for the first time, you understand what this is about. But when you are stepping into the project after somebody and you don't have in mind, like Elon Musk says, every requirement need to have person who made it to understand what is this for. And programming is especially important because there are so many things that you are afraid to delete, or you are afraid to touch it because it's hard to understand it, while it shouldn't be. It's not your fault to have issues with understanding. And that's the other thing, while I think the WCAG regulations, ADA, and so on, give like first insight into, okay, this needs to be regulated, and you start to understand where those regulations guide you to, and where it guides you through what. So
yeah, I mean, the stop sign and the traffic light is a navigational tool
yeah,
that
so
allows us to safely, quickly, and effectively get from point A to point B, right?
yeah,
And
that's
so
not the point of, exactly, it's not the point of because when I see red light and green light, it's the easiest for me, and it's not the way to put on every traffic stop traffic light text start, stop, or go. But it's great to connect the word of making it easy for the pedestrian to, okay, it's green and you go, and to, for example, make older compatible systems to say if I cannot see, but not make life harder for people who see normally, but making life easier for both of the groups. It's really hard to balance, but if you are developed society, you just take it. You think it's important.
So when we were kind of getting ready to kick off today's conversation, you were sharing some of the successes and some of the solutions that you've found to be helpful throughout the journey of building accessible product. What were some of the macro themes that you found that were helpful as a developer to be effective, to be efficient, right?
Do I understand good your question? You're asking about some specific solutions tools I think are worth to use, or
Yeah, or even the kind of, what I would say there is what was effective and why.
okay. Mm, so there are a couple of perspectives for this, because you can, as many areas of development, you can go code first or interface first. So for many people, there are various ways of the easiest way to get insight of where to start. It's sometimes it's easier to look on the of the interface first, and I'm such a person. So I got through a lot of tools that can highlight. Yeah, I made a test, to be honest, because all those things, I'm going back to the beginning of our conversation and try to close my eyes. I tried to close my eyes on the website and try to navigate using keyboard or phone. And this was my first step into gaining the perspective of where to start from. And when I already had this insight of okay, this is this button, this is this button, but what with drop down, and this drop down maybe is hard to access, even if this has alternative text. It's hard to access, hard to get into, and it's hard for me to put all that intuition and so on in one short sentence. But for me, it all started with closing eyes, and later looking at my code, and with this perspective of not understanding, not visually see what's going on. Can I understand it now? And that was the first step. And a couple of tools I used for checking it later from this pure development perspective. But I don't know if this is actually the place to mention all of them here. Yeah, okay, so I've checked also your tool that you are providing, this Wally report. I tried to make one for my own personal website, like interactive CV. I'm sending in so many places now, and I was quite shocked. First thing, I was shocked how well it worked, and second, how terribly I implemented some stuff in terms of accessibility, actually, because the main goal of this site was just to showcase the development visual layer, and now I see that I need to redesign some of the stuff. And also for Lightern, it's quite popular. And when I'm thinking about how would I solve this, the first thing I think I see and I would want to put there are third-party company solutions, because despite it cost a bit, they are just great in providing such a aid for this interactions. So I don't know if we are allowed to say some specific tools, but from the first research I've done, some accessibility or other tools from this kind of companies also. This is like just to put into perspective from visual perspective, that you have in the corner of website, you have widely understandable icon of a man with hands like this, like this is similar to sign of helicopter, please land here. So this is like this mean help me. And there are tools which provide you contextual panel, which just open up from the right side of your from your display, and you just have every kind of regulation, site settings, and so on you can imagine. And why should I implement everything from the scratch if there are some tools which, if I will just use, they will help me and they will guide me. So that's my perspective.
I think in the States, there's a lot of tension between those that provide a widget and those that develop the native experience. One of the biggest challenges that we hear is that someone who is coming to this site with their eyes closed probably is already relying on some of the native assistive technologies. And so how does that interact with the widget that you might put on your site? Full transparency, we tend within the Wally space of how we develop products, we're drastically against developing a widget to solve the accessibility issues. And it's a highly debated topic. I think we could have a whole nother podcast. Maybe one day we'll get someone that develops widgets for accessibility to come on the podcast to talk about that notion. But I think the aspect of putting a third party layer on top of the site is, what is it then like if you're using Apple VoiceOver or using one of the 80 accessibility preferences on your iPhone, or you're using what Android natively offers? How does that experience exist? And ultimately it's going to, I think, go to try to read the semantic contextual understanding and the structure that's provided of the website, not that of the plugin. So definitely an area to kind of dive into deeper.
Yeah, and the aspects you mentioned are great for CEO, actually. Like SEO is when you improve your text structures, alternative text, and so on, that have more aligned goals with other company main goals. So Yeah, that's right. That's a journey. For sure, this is a journey, and things you tell me now are giving me a lot of insights, and I feel a bit ashamed that maybe I should know it before. But if
knowledge sharing is a part of, I think,
yeah,
any
yeah,
journey,
exactly.
and
I so thousands of ideas now came to my head how those two aspects of widget and the contextual structural way of providing proper accessibility in the site can be together, can be aligned, but that's completely other topic for deeper technical conversation.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, which is you developed this website. You then looked at it from where do you stand against a contextual positive user experience framework that is largely based around how accessible is the website, and there were challenges. What's the easier path to go back and remediate it? Is it, do we add a third-party piece of JavaScript that kind of solves that but maybe doesn't serve the need of the user who relies on assistive technology, or do you go back and change code? And I think the area that we're passionate about is how do you make it easier to go back and change code and to augment code structure and the semantic structure of what you've designed to be able to be natively accessible, and breaking down the barriers, no pun intended, of being able to do that versus implementing a third party widget on the site. The root cause augmentation is definitely still something that breaking down those barriers and making it easier is something that needs to be accelerated in an area that we're highly passionate about.
This is a great example why your podcast is valuable, and you can call it educational as well.
When we first met each other, right? It's around sharing education and awareness
Sure.
in the accessibility space, so that folks that listen and are going down this journey can take away something, so they don't feel like they're on an island alone.
Yeah, the trade-off is there's a song like the point of no reverse. I think there are some projects which are so developed and shifted in complexity that making third party is just the only way. And there are some projects, and also the valuable understanding from the early on to make it proper as you suggest, and as your tool make it easier to.
Love it. Well, Michał, we've crossed the timeline that we typically go through on a podcast. I would thoroughly enjoy every aspect of the conversation. So by all means, not to close down a very interesting and informative conversation, but I always love to give a way for you to close out with any final thoughts or anything that you wanted to touch on today that we didn't get to.
Yeah, sure. Like I mentioned from a couple of perspectives before, I love the fact that our work in accessibility is shared goal, and this initial effort, which is a bit bigger when not caring about this perspective, in long term give you a lot of audience growth. And as I said, maybe we are doing this for ourselves, but in the future, so it is worth doing.
I love it. You couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode.
Thank you for the invitation.
Share my sincere appreciation, and it was good getting to know you throughout the podcast, and I appreciate it.
It was great. Thank you. Have a lovely day.